Okay, so without further ado, I'd like to just welcome everyone who is on the call, whether you're here in Australia, New Zealand, or anywhere around the world. Welcome to the first Australian ER Shred call. And we are very excited for this call. We have been waiting for this all week, and so we're very, very, very excited to get into it. So without further ado, Jennifer, you want to do some introductions?
So we've got Sean, who's the founder of ER Shred, and we're so grateful for you, Sean, for agreeing to do this call for us. And we've got Susan, who's also here with us. She's the head of the Health Pro Board, a holistic nurse, and a herbalist. And Jesse, where's Jesse?
There's Jesse.
Oh, there he is. He's the ambassador and a nutrition coach.
And when we think of all of these three people, Jennifer and I just sort of jotted down some words, honesty, genuine, humble, helpful, compassionate, caring, and we could go on and on and on, but we'll stop right there. So without further ado, Sean, it's all yours.
Okay, thanks for having us. Appreciate the introduction. We certainly love you guys. You guys are what I like to call our like kind. And that's one of the cool things about ER Shred is, yes, it's a nutrition protocol, a dietary protocol. Yes, it's a community. Yes, there's a whole education involved, and you can dive as deep as you want, but there's just something special about finding your like kind, and those that you really commune with, and those that kind of level you up and fill you up. And that's what I've been finding with all the different people who've come on board with ER Shred and had the results, like Jennifer, like James, like Sharon. It just fills me up so much. And it is very reminiscent of my early days in Isagenix. I've been in Isagenix for, gosh, guys, 20 years. My mom and dad, my dad's actually from Adelaide, Australia. And so I grew up with Australian culture. I grew up eating Vegemite. I've only been to Australia one time when I was a little kid, but I'd love to come again because I love Australian people. My dad always says, Sean, if you go back to Australia, you'll never come home. He says, you'll just love it and you'll never come home. But what we found with the people who are coming on board with ER Shred over there in Australia is that it's just this natural feel, right? It's just this natural meshing vibe culturally. It's very genuine. It's very real. It's results first. It's, can we now take those results and passionately share from a place of genuine authenticity and sincere intent? And can we share and help other people? And believe it or not, that's how Jackson Parr came on board. Jackson Parr is one of the biggest leaders in all of Australia. He's majorly responsible for the success of Isagenix Australia overall. And I didn't go out there and try to twist Jackson's arm. He came on board on his own. He was open-minded, and he says, well, what is this? What the, in fact, his exact words were, what the beep, what is this? And, but let me just tell you how I came upon the concepts that formed ER Shred, and then I'll hand it over to these health professionals that will do a far better job than I ever could of educating you on why this works and why it's so wonderful and effective. And then maybe we can hear from Jackson as well towards the end about, what his charge is and how he's doing. I had gone completely dormant in my Isagenix. I had gotten very jaded and in a dark place, truthfully. Now, I was someone who watched the success of my mom and dad. My mom and dad were the first ever millionaires in Isagenix back in 2002. They built an organization of over 100,000 customers in their first 10 months. It was really crazy to witness. And they did it in such a way where it was all based on product information, education, inspiration, edification in terms of, recognition for the people they were involved with. And then it was rewards. But the results were always the foremost focus. It was never about money. And that was something I could get behind. I didn't grow up, in my youth thinking, I hope when I grow up that I could be a network marketer. Like that was never my dream, right? Like I wanted to be an athlete, or I wanted to be an artist, or I wanted to be a hunter, actually. But when I saw how my parents were building their network marketing business with Isagenix products, it spoke to me because they did it with integrity. They did it with those core values that James and Jennifer were just referring to. They did it the right way, and they were monumentally successful, unparalleled success. In fact, they've gone on to earn, I think, $28 million now with Isagenix. It's just insane. Rags to riches story. Well, I followed their lead. I did it just that way. I was focused on, hey, there's people out there in this world that need this information and they need these products, and I want to help them, and I'm going to show up, and I'm going to be that person that connects those dots, and I'm going to, they're out there, they're looking for us. I got to go find them. And it was all mission-based and cause-based. And Susan, this is why you and I connected so well. Jesse, this is why you and I connected so well, because it was like we were these, we're on a mission. It's like a full-blown, I don't even know how to explain it, but it goes so beyond yourself and so beyond money. But as a result, I too was able to generate an incredible amount of income by sharing the Isagenix products and opportunity with other people. And I became the youngest millionaire in the company when I was 27 years old. And I was, someone interjecting, sorry. I thought I heard something there. So with all that said, what unfolded was I worked really, really hard for 3 or 4 years. And my dream was to be home with my children and to raise my children and give them all my time. And it brought me that dream. It actually delivered that dream for me. And I'm forever grateful. And I love Isagenix so much for that. And then something changed, and my health started going downhill. And I was using the products the same, but maybe it was age. I don't know what it was. To this day, I don't know if it was stress related or age related or what it was, but Susan, Jesse, these are some of my closest friends in the world. We've known each other for a very long time, and my health crisis was catastrophic. And it got to the point where I had hit rock bottom in 2020. And I says, I can't use my Isagenix products. They're not working for me. And nothing was working for me. And I had such severe brain fog, and my gut was always hurting. And I had just resigned to the fact that I am just an unwell human being. Well, how was I supposed to reach beyond myself and help other people when I felt like that? And so I hid. I never was authentic. I never was vulnerable. I never told people how I was feeling, because here I was with this huge organization of customers, and I had to show up as the epitome of health. I had to be what I really wasn't, and it was fake, and it was miserable. But then when I hit 40 years old and I hit bottom, and I finally just crashed and burned, and the faking was all over. It's like, this is going to cost me my marriage. This is going to cost me my relationship with my parents. This is going to cost me my Isagenix income. It's going to cost me everything, because I'm not showing up in life anymore. And then just fate started taking over. And Crystal kept saying, Sean, just hang in there a little while longer. Something's coming. I can just tell you something good's coming. And that's when I was introduced to the concept of turning to meat. And I'm gonna let these health professionals talk to it more than I'm going to. I'm practically done with what I'm going to say. Turning to meat. Did it seriously just give me back my life? Meat? Make sense out of that, because I couldn't. And I actually made a decision. I says, that doesn't make any sense to me that meat gave me back my life. Meat made it so that I could start enjoying Isagenix products again. It's crazy. Meat. And so I actually, call it what you will, but I went a different way at it, which was, what did meat really do for me? It got me off all the shit that was causing me so much pain. And when it got me off all the garbage and I started to get a taste for what I really felt like when I was thriving and when I was at my best, it was like empowerment was born. And then we just started connecting the dots, the shakes, the incubation, it's phenomenal. The bone broth supported cleanse days, and then building out that blueprint. And I just want to acknowledge these two health professionals that are here with us, because what happened was Crystal and I initially did this and put it together. And we were like, I mean, Jesse came on board early and he definitely helped add a couple components that are imperative. But I remember, and Susan, by the way, has helped so much with all the messaging and all of the education around the depth of ER Shred. But I remember early on, I'll never forget it. I said to Crystal, what do we do now? My brain fog was gone. My stomach was working great. I had normal bowel movements. My energy was off the charts. I felt bionic. And I looked at Crystal and I says, what do we do with this? What do we do with this? We can't tell people to eat meat. They'll think we're nuts. And Crystal, she goes, I don't know. I don't know what we can do. And I said, you know what, though? I say, I'll tell you one thing. I know a lot of good people in Isagenix who's doing everything right. They're doing everything they know how to do right, and they're not optimal. And I said, I think we could help a lot of people. And these are the kinds of people we want to help, because these are the best people on earth. And I remember we launched it, but I went to 5 mentors. Susan, you weren't one of the initial ones, because I really thought you were like vegan. And I thought there's no way she'll even listen to me. But I went to 5 of my most respected mentors, all health professionals. I'd been in the industry for a long time. And 4 of them shot me down flat. 4 of them just shot me down like, you're freaking nuts. You're crazy. Meat is not marketable. Like, what are you thinking? And yet Jesse was the only one who said, he was like this. He was like, okay. Okay. He goes, I'm not going to say no. Just give me a few days. I just need to think about it. I need to look at it more. And within a few days, he literally got back and said, yep, we're running with this. It's going to work. With all that said, guys, I want to allow our health professionals to educate you about, what is ER Shred, what's been their experience, why it's so phenomenal. And then I hope that Jackson can close it out at the end. So Susan Rothman, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, you got the floor.
Okay, so thank you so much for your introduction. And I loved everything you said, Sean. And I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, I'm looking at these people. Some of you I've seen, some I don't know, but like the feeling is that I'm with family. And I don't know what that is about ER Shred. It's just really, really real. For me, I do want to address you asked some great questions in that thread, Jennifer, about the type 1 diabetes, about hormone balance. And what else did you ask? Cholesterol. So I figure I'll tell you a little bit about my story and then wrap those questions in that. And Sean, something you said so powerful. And what the problem is truth is not marketable. And that's what we're living in today. So, we're going to keep going and keep putting this out there. And, what happened for me is I've been with Isagenix for 15 years. I've known Sean for 14, always respected him, adore him. And then I was kind of with the lull, like no passion. I was getting older. I thought I was aging out. I wasn't relevant. And I wasn't passionate about the products like I had been in the beginning. And then I see Sean everywhere on social media. I'm like, what is going on with Sean? And I started looking at it and I thought, well, this is really interesting, right? So I figured I would try the ER Shred. And what happened for me is I came alive. I felt amazing. My brain lit up. My passion for isogenics and my mission as a health warrior and certified health nut was reinvigorated. And so because I work in functional medicine, I decided, okay, if I'm going to share this with people, let me track it. And I monitored my labs every 4 months, my first year on the ER shred. And what I saw was every inflammatory marker, which I was in good health, every inflammatory marker, like boom, down, cholesterol down, insulin down, glucose down, hormone balance, like everything. And so, and me and Jesse speak about this. So I did that every 4 months, and each time better, better, better. And what happened is me and Jesse talk is we finally got to this place for both of us where we sit in, and I know I think I can say this for you, Jesse, is we sit now in the seat of surety. Like I know 100% without a doubt that I found something really special here and really meaningful here. And as you go in this, you start to uncover all the myths, and we're in this place of truth and common sense. We've lost common sense. You know, tonight, as I was thinking, Jennifer, you asked me about hormone transition and hormone balance, that the question is even there is a problem. You know, it's so backwards the way we think. We are supposed to go through these transitions in life effortlessly. Do people have problems, and are there some, you know, diseases and things that can cause the body to go out of balance? Yes, but this is, I mean, I just heard on the news recently, they're making PMS like a diagnosis code. It's like 80% of the population of women. And this is due to these food culprits, what we've done to the environment. And ER Shred strips all of that away. It strips all of that away. And, you know, today when I think about it, well, what are we doing? We're doing a whole foods diet. You know, we tend to think, what is a whole foods diet? We think it's vegan. Well, we're doing a whole foods diet. It's very rare in my house that there's processed foods anymore, you know, and it all, you know, so with hormone imbalance, right? So you're doing something with no food additives. Your the diet is anti-inflammatory out the box. You're changing body composition and losing fat. Do you think it's going to impact on hormone balance? I mean, it's sort of like, of course it will. Of course it will. So every area is hit. You know, we talk about anti-aging, pro-aging. All these things are hit because we're just doing it. We're returning back to our roots, to ancestral nutrition. I don't know if ancestral women had PMS. I don't know. Maybe they did. I don't think so. And then there was another question I wanted to ask about type 1 diabetics. And see, we've gone off the rails. I'll come back to hormones for a minute. You know, I've been asked in our group, in our community, to speak about hormones quite a bit. And for me, it's like, this is how my mind works. It's like bottom line. We're doing this, which is going to have an impact on all of that. So we can talk about all the minutia, how we got here and all of that. But the bottom line is you interact with this long enough, it's all going to balance out, and we get to live that. And as far as type 1 diabetics, or any diabetic, you know, we just launched the 2 weeks of Steak and Shake first, right? And type 1 diabetics, most of them, there's always rogue, but most of them, they're like rock stars at managing their blood sugar and knowing how to do that. So as they interact with the program, it would, to me, I've coached type 1 diabetics. Their insulin needs will probably go down, but they're a demographic that they know how to roll with that and make adjustments. And they would always follow their blood sugar. And then you said something about, no, we don't incorporate the snack wafers, but they could leverage that. But they could eat all day long, you know, steak and bacon and all these things. I mean, my experience with a type 1 diabetic is their blood sugar, they were taking too much insulin, you know? And so I guess for me, the main thing I want to put out there is, you know, as our brains get lit up by meat and butter, and we heal our guts, by not putting in foods that are irritating to us, I think our critical thinking muscle wakes up a bit, and we can really look up and out and question, these things. Like tonight, that occurred to me is like, why are we even talking nationwide? I work in a hormone practice. Hormone imbalance is very common. Why? It's what we're eating, and we're flipping the script. And I guess I'm going to turn it over to my brother Jesse, who I know is going to give you guys great information. Jesse.
Well, thanks, Susan.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Everybody still looks alive. It's good. It's morning time over there in Australia, right? So pardon my appearance tonight. I'm literally sitting in a car running with all the lights on, trying to get on this because I didn't want to miss this for anything. Because ER Shred as a whole literally ignites my soul on fire. And I'm going to share with you guys why. So Jennifer, I forgot your questions, but I would love for you to ask me if there's anything that I can like dial in for you. But I just want to share this with you guys real quick on how it kind of all came to be. The health and wellness space, the fitness industry, it's been a passion of mine for literally the last 20 plus years. Jesse, didn't look like Jesse today when he was a kid. I was literally the fat kid growing up. And it was the worst thing in the entire world. And I remember being mocked and being made fun of, and even so-called friends that I had as a kid didn't really ever feel like friends because it was all the fat kid and I was always the person, like to the point where, if you've ever suffered with weight, like you start making jokes about yourself, right? Over the years, it just kind of built up. It really messed with me. And then finally I get to high school. The end of high school, I start slimming out a little bit. After high school, I did a short little stint in the military, and still a punk ass kid and just messed up everything. But what I found was the gym. And when I found that gym, it was something that just ignited inside. If you've ever found a passion, when I touched those weights, it was like I just morphed out of my body. Like I didn't feel like the fat kid anymore. I didn't feel like the loser anymore. Like I felt like that was something for me. And I'll be honest, at first, like I started off because I wanted to be the guy in the front of the magazine. I wanted to be that big, shredded, bulky guy. Like I didn't realize there was Photoshop involved. I didn't realize there was ridiculous amounts of steroids and hormonal things injected and all kinds of stuff. But it gave me that first ignition, and I never looked back. That's literally how I started in this. And now over the course of the years, I went from competitive bodybuilding, I went into obstacle course racing, and today I'm a competitive ultra marathon runner. So if you're not sure what that is, like I pay money to run 50 to 100 miles in the middle of the mountains, in the middle of nowhere, going through some of the worst suffering and pain ever. And then I say I'm never going to do it again, and I sign up again. And I keep doing it again and again and again and again. And people go, "What's wrong with you?" I go, "Well, I don't know where to begin, but I know there's a few screws loose." Right? I know there's a few screws loose. So why do I share that story with you guys? Here's why. Over the course of these years, the only reason that Jesse even passed in school was because of biology. Biology got me like weights got me. And something about the human body was just fascinating to me. And maybe it was because I was the fat kid and wanted to know why, and I wasn't sure. Like, I don't really know the answer, but it really kicked something off in me. And to this day, it is what makes me thrive every day. I am constantly learning. Susan will tell you, and Sean will tell, I'm always sending them new stuff. Like, I never stop learning. Ever. I don't think there's ever a place where you know it all. That leads me to what I want to share with you. Over the course of bodybuilding, which is one of the most detrimental things I think somebody can do for their health, and forgive me if you're into bodybuilding, but let me tell you, I've coached many of them, and boy, do they have some of the craziest food addictions and scarcity mindsets when it comes to food. We can't go over 3 pieces of asparagus, and we have to take a diuretic, and we have to strip our body of all the water. If you've ever watched somebody go through competition training, it is like, whoa, I went through it. So I can tell you, it is not fun. It is not pleasant. It is not an enjoyable thing. And then the craziest thing is these people are deemed to be the healthiest people because we've been trained to focus with our eyes instead of understand the real value. We've been focused to say, wow, that person has muscles, so they must be healthy. Well, I'm here to tell you that those people are some of the most unhealthiest people on the face of the planet. And I know because we've done IgG testing, which is deep blood work testing on them, and they are some of the most nutrient deficient people to walk the planet. But yet you can transform your body. And friends, I did that too. I transformed my body. I'm only 5'10", so you can only go natural so big, right? And I did that my entire life. And I've gotten myself to 192 pounds at 5'10", completely shredded, right? From the outside, looking like the epitome of health. And what nobody ever knew was I felt like complete dog dung, kangaroo dung, we'll call it, since we're talking in Australia. I felt like crap every day. Like I was literally dragging myself. But you see, I'm very competitive and I'm very determined. And I'm going to show up every day in and day out. And when I get kicked down, it makes me go harder. And I did that. And I tricked myself and I listened to all the gurus. And then I got into other forms of athletics. And then I started going back to school. And I went for my nutrition certification and degree, and I went for my health coaching. And now I'm a few weeks away from being a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, only one of 7,000 in the world right now, right? And what I can tell you is this: what I've learned throughout the way, I had this like slap in the face one day, and I was sitting in nutrition school, and I was day after day, I heard guru after guru, doctor after doctor, scientist after scientist. How many of you have heard this before, right? We want to learn something new. Oh my God, there's a new paper. Oh my God, there's a new scientist. Oh my God, this guy's from Harvard and Yale and he's doing this or she's doing this and they swear by this. And I was like, I had this like epiphany. I was like, wait a minute, dude. What the hell is going on? Like, who are you going to believe? Who are you going to believe? Now, thankfully, I had come to my own realization because I had done, through bodybuilding, guys, and as an athlete, you got to understand, you want 0.5% better than the person next to you. You see, 0.5% gets you the win. You don't think of that on a daily life, but as an athlete, 0.5% better is a win. Heck, 0.1% better, and you edge out the competition for a win. It's gold versus silver, right? So you will do anything. And when I tell you that I have tried every single diet, every single protocol, I look back now at some of the supplements I put in my body, the skull and crossbone pre-workouts. I don't know. Has anybody ever taken a pre-workout? You take it and then you feel like little bugs are crawling up your arm. It's like the jitters. That's not normal. That's not normal. And I'd be the idiot taking it dry and put it in my mouth and swishing it around with water. Oh, I'm badass. And I got to this point, and now I look at that and I go, wow, I'm surprised I'm still alive. And Jesse, what the hell's the point of all this? Here's the point. When I came to this realization about all these gurus, one was teaching me about protein. One was teaching me about carbohydrates. One was teaching me about fat. One was teaching me about deprivation. One was teaching me about elimination. One was teaching me about, I was like, how can all of you be right? How can you all have research that says that your way is the right way? And I was like, you know what, Jesse? You've done so many things. And at that point, I was like, what I did was this. I took what worked from everything and I made it Jesse's way. And that is such an important thing to understand, is because there's foundational pieces to human health, which I believe the ER Shred so beautifully lays out for people, right? The foundational pieces like getting in our daily quality protein, making sure that we're hydrated. And gosh darn it, we are human beings. We must move our asses in some way, shape, or form every single day. And that doesn't mean you got to pound the weights like me or run 100 miles. I don't care if you're at a level where you can just sit from your chair and stand and sit, stand and sit, stand and sit 10 times. And if that's where you're at, that's where you start. If you can walk for 5 minutes, will you walk for 5 minutes? We are created as the most complex pieces of machinery that the earth has ever seen. And yet we're treating ourselves, instead of like Ferraris, like Pintos. So there is no magical one way. But when you look at the foundational pieces of the ER shred and you look at it as a whole, what are we doing? We're giving people that slap in the face that I had. We're giving people the slap in the face that Sean and Crystal had. The realization that food, your individual food that makes up your food blueprint, is the key to your health success. And are there things that are better for you and that are not better for you? Sure, there are. Can you eat like a Spartan? And if that's what you want, sure, go right ahead if that's what makes you happy. Are there places for YOLO foods and some carbohydrates here and there once you figure out your baseline and your blueprint? 100%. You don't have to live life like me. My mission, my goal, what makes me excited is to still run mountains at 90 years old. And gosh darn it, I will be doing that. So I choose to live the way that I do, a little stricter, right? Some of those foods don't serve me, but yet I coach hundreds of people that do just fine. Their life is amazing and they can still enjoy life and they can have a drink if they feel they need it and they can have these other things, right? And that's what I wanted to kind of start with, is just to realize, like, what's the power of ER Shred? Well, the power of ER Shred is we will help put your train back on the tracks, because I feel like so many people are derailed. We're listening to all these gurus, we're believing magazines, we're eating food because somebody said it's healthy. Well, who said it's healthy for you? Dr. Guru or your belly, your microbiome, your gut bacteria, your cells inside your body? Who's telling you what's healthy for you? And with the ER Shred, we help put your train back on the tracks, and then we help you get to this beautiful place called baseline, where, what does that really mean? All of your hormones are back in balance. Things like your blood sugars, your serotonin, your ghrelin, your hunger hormones, your insulin starts to come back in. And why does that all matter? Because if those are out of whack, you're not functioning as a human being. You're not functioning the way that you were designed and created to be. So once you can get back into that place and have that brain clarity and have that realization that, wow, I'm not in pain anymore. Like, how many people do we know eat a food and then you feel like you want to crawl in a ball and die? That's not normal, guys. That's not normal, right? And yet we're addicted to these things. And you know what it is? We're marketed these things. We're sold these things. We're pounded by billions of dollars of advertising. So, I've spent the time, I've traced back the research, I've looked at not just the observational studies, but the meta-analysis studies, the things that actually really matter, like what's moving the needle for people. And that's the beautiful thing again with the ER Shred, is that we give you that foundation, the tracks to run on. We know that what we're doing are some of the most bioavailable, nutrient-dense foods on the face of the planet. How many people do you know that are allergic to grass-fed beef? Not many. Not many. You might think your belly doesn't agree, but I'm going to argue that your acid profile is jacked up from everything else that you've been doing. And if you give it some time to rebalance itself, things are going to feel a lot better. Things are going to feel a lot better, Dr. Evil, right? So hopefully that makes sense for you guys. That's been my journey. And, once I had that realization myself, and, for me, it's funny, it's hard for me to tell this to people because I almost forget 20 years of doing this. The byproduct of taking care of your vessel is that you look the way that you see in a magazine. You look the way that you see in the anatomy books, right? I forget sometimes that people go, oh, it's so easy for you, Jesse. I'm like, no, the byproduct of weight loss, the byproduct of muscle gain, like Those are the byproduct, muscle gain, weight loss, like all of that stuff. That is the byproduct of health. And what I've been doing better than so many people I know is I've been consistent every single day, day in and day out. There's no oopsies, there's no slipsies, there's no Jesse derailed. I derail in life, I derail with business, I derail with other stuff, but I don't have dog and squirrel syndrome when it comes to my health. And my health is my focus. And because of that, the byproduct is I get to look the way that I do. I get to perform the way that I do at 43 years old, where I can still bear crawl and chase my little one around on the floor and run up and down mountains. And I mean, gosh, I can do a 50K with 11,000 feet of elevation gain and descent and then do squats the next day. My body can recover. But that's because it's the byproduct of the fundamentals that I choose to do every day to honor the creation that I am. Whatever your creator is, this isn't a religious thing. This is just, I am a creation. You are all a creation, right? You get one shot. And for me, that one shot is so valuable because I want to do things at 90. I want to be that guy. I want to be the grandpa who can sprint faster than my grandkids. You want to race? Let's go. Let's go, sucker, right? That's me. That's what I want to be. So that's for me. So hopefully that gives you the outline. And then Jennifer, if you have any specific questions that people have with nutrition or anything else, like I'm happy to do the best I can to try to help.
Yeah, well, Jesse, there was one question that you probably could give us the smackdown on this. One person said, not seeing a reason we don't count calories. All I've found from searching the group is you don't need to.
Yeah. Yeah. So you want to know why we don't count calories? Yeah. Because that creates addicts, food addicts. It's a real thing. And I'll tell you this from my bodybuilding world, what people see is people on stage. What you don't see is the shit show that happens after. Those people are so deprived and so drawn out on food because they've counted their macros. They've religiously went over those, right? And is there a place for counting macros? If you want to be a bodybuilder, sure, it can be done. Is it the healthiest way possible? No. And what we'll learn, James, is that the human body, does a lion count calories? Does an alligator count calories? Does a shark count calories? Does a hippopotamus count calories? And yet they're some of the biggest beasts on the face of the planet. And, is there a place? Here's the thing, guys. I'm not like, don't do this, don't do that. Like you'll realize real quick with me, like if you feel confident and you need to count calories for a little bit so you can have an understanding of what a day's worth of food looks like, can that be beneficial? Sure, it can be. Sure, it can be. If you religiously fall back on that, and that's your means to where you're like, oh my God, I can't go to sleep because I didn't hit my fat goals today. Or like, I know people, a lot of people that do this. Oh my God, I got to wake up because I didn't get all my protein in today. Rigidity and rigid dieting is going to fail, James, every single time. And that's not Jesse's opinion. There's actually meta-analysis research published studies on this, that the flexible way, the flexibility of dieting, meaning that what is going to suit you best? What can you actually do every single day, day in and day out? That is long-term lifestyle. And you see, when we chase lifestyle, we choose life. When we chase dieting, we choose death, in my opinion. That's why dieting has die in it and lifestyle has life. It's pretty common sense. It's been sitting in front of us for however long, and yet for some reason we don't do that. So I think, James, that people know what to do. People know what to do. And let me tell you something else. It's going to be really, really hard for you to overeat when you're pounding some delicious grass-fed ribeye lathered in grass-fed butter, and you're getting in all that quality protein that you're supposed to throughout the course of the day. If you hit your protein numbers, go ham. I bet you can't. I bet you can't. And that's why protein's first. And it's also the essential building block to life in the entire body. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. Someone just asked a question there. Is there a maximum number of days, okay, of no bowel movements before becoming concerned?
Well, I mean, that's a kind of open-ended question.
Jesse, can I
mean,
let me
go
share
ahead,
my
Sean.
experience with what I thought was constipation. I remember when I first started eating the meats, I went a period of time without a bowel movement. I remember reaching out to this health professional who was helping me with the elimination component. And I said, hey, it's been a few days. I haven't had a bowel movement. And his response was, you have no idea how incredibly efficient your body is at burning the fuel, which is the
Yeah.
the meats and those shakes. And when you incubate the shakes, the waste product goes way, way, way down, which is really cool. And that's one of the reasons you don't have the bloat and the gas, is because there's not as much waste product. But it's pretty amazing because this story that we were told that when you eat meat, it sits in your stomach and putrefies, that's a lie. That is not true. And this story that you've been told that you need a certain amount of fiber in your diet every day, that's a lie too, because this is crazy. Your body is incredibly efficient at burning those animal proteins and animal fats to the point where there's just not much waste product. That would be my feedback that I'd like to leave around that topic. And it's just very personal. And my bowel movements, guys, like I'm over 2 years now, ER shredding. And the gift for me is that the gift of ER shred for me is having a normal gastrointestinal system, having normal bowel movements. This is something I never knew my entire adult life. And it's such a gift. And that's what we've heard so many people come back and say. I think Jesse, you might want to speak to, there's also, of course, with
I'd like to
anything,
say-
any drastic diet change, there's a
Yeah.
period of, you call it what you will,
I'd like to say
onboarding.
something about that too.
Sure
Okay.
thing, Susan. Yep.
Yeah, so what Sean just said, definitely, as you change your diet, your body wants to get rid of garbage. And so there could be loose stools. It's like this adjustment phase. But for your question specifically, that's where common sense comes in. So if it's over the top, then absolutely you have to use common sense there. But for most people, that's not what's going on. It's just a change that, it's like, it's so funny, like people have an unhealthy lifestyle, and then they start eating healthy and they get a headache or something, and right away they're like, oh my God, it takes a minute for the body. And I just wanted to say one other thing about the caloric restriction because Jesse, like, he's got an athlete mind. But what I noticed for like the average person, the average woman, and the mindset around dieting and counting calories, and what I've noticed in the community, and this is quite a journey, is people over time, they're starting to listen to their bodies, trust their bodies, and intuitively they're finding their own way home. And I think that's a very powerful, powerful part of ER Shred. For me, I didn't expect to land in the mindset space, but as our bodies talk to us, and then, part of my job in the community is leading people to finding what that means for them. And it goes through every part of ER Shred. Listening to your body, and the same thing with calories, and making that distinction. Is my head telling me I want whatever, or is my body telling me? And that's part of the journey too, which is it's the empowerment piece.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think the key thing is you got to realize that, we got to be careful, obviously, because we got to speak in broad, with health and everything. I think you guys got to remember, a lot of people, look, statistically, 88% of the population is metabolically unhealthy. I mean, that's a scary statistic, right? 1 in 3 kids are obese, overweight. By 2030, I forgot, it was like 60% of the population is on a bad track. And, you know, our guts are, I mean, gosh, they're amazing. Like, you got to realize you're a walking petri dish, is what you are. You have more bacteria and stuff in your intestines than you do cells, right? And when you look at the damage that's been done over the course of the years, I mean, we're talking people have been on this journey now, this unhealthy journey for what, 10, 12, 13, 15, 17, whatever years. And, you know, then we come and we flip things up. Well, the human body is, I mean, you think about it, like how many people eat so unhealthy, drinking alcohol, eating processed foods, all this stuff day in and day out. And yet the heart never misses a beat and the lungs never miss a breath. Like, that's how amazing you are. Like, the human body will figure out how to live. That's what it wants to do. It wants to be in balance. So when you flip the script and you're removing and then reintroducing, you know, that's a process of healing. And I think we got to look at that as that thing. And then, like Susan says, like, look, if it's going on, you know, 3-4 weeks, I mean, gosh, we got to figure something out. But, you know, I've never heard of that. I mean, if you're getting in your quality protein and you're getting in your healthy fats, like, eventually when your body flips the script and you stop focusing on, you know, glucose and sugars for that fuel, and you're getting in enough healthy fats, it's going to run. Yes, intuitive eating, somebody just said, it's exactly what it is. But Susan, you know, that's really the key thing. So you got to give your body time to heal and allow that process to happen. And 11 days, guys, is maybe not enough, right? Like, it's just to get you back on the right tracks. Like, 11 days is the beginning, it's the start, but it's not even close to the end. It's not even close to the end, right? So hopefully that helps.
And there, as far as the poop factor, there are so many posts in the group on that. I have something about
Yes.
constipation, laxative. Sean has a poop thing. So that information is all there for all of you, and to reassure people. And then, you know, for my role in the group with any kind of health question, I always follow medical advice, always use common sense, always listen to your body.
Yeah. So what you're saying, Susan, is we're not scared to talk shit around here.
And the curse, your shredder's curse.
Well, Sharon gave me permission the other night,
Yeah.
so I blame
Oh,
her.
that's right. Hey, is Jackson on? I wanted
Yeah,
to
Jackson.
to see if Jackson could share an update and kind of how he's doing around all of this.
Yeah, how you doing?
Hey, Jackson.
I'm great, thank you. I will I know it's a long call, so I will like just talk really fast to try and get it in. Otherwise, people might tune out or not even watch this recording if they see how long it is. So real quickly, my 2 cents with whoever was asking the calorie one. I love Jackie was talking about intuitive eating. We can't intuitive eat in 2022 because that's why they create Oreos, right? Like, you can't intuitively eat Oreos because millions and millions of dollars are put into Oreos to make them addictive, right? Like, they don't design an Oreo where their goal is for us to have 2 Oreos and be like really satiated and full, right? They create Oreos you need to eat a whole packet and then run and get some more because they taste that good and they've got the perfect chemical reaction in our brain. So with the calorie thing, you know, you won't lose weight if you eat 10,000 calories of meat, but the point is you cannot overeat on meat. You can overeat on Oreos, you can overeat on McDonald's, you can overeat on cereal, you can overeat on most things that are processed, right? That's the whole point. They want you can eat 2,000 in McDonald's like that, but you can't. It's just, I'm a big guy, I'm a big human, and I was eating like a pretty average steak yesterday, and I like had to take some breaks. I had to like lean back and like, you just won't overeat. So you're going to lose weight because you're in a caloric deficit. But where calorie counting kind of was created was because you need to count calories when everything's processed and everything is like pumped with sugar and fat and whatnot. But when you're eating meat, even butter, that was a big mindset for me. You just won't overeat. I promise you, you won't overeat. And if you do, it's very easy to change. So real quickly, just to share my story to get it in here, especially since this whole concept is Australia and New Zealand. I went over to Orlando, when was it? Maybe 2 months ago, I think it was, for our celebration. Never heard of Sean, never heard of Shred, never heard of anything upon anything, was just minding my own business, walking back from the bathroom, and I ran into a couple that I hadn't seen for a few years now because of COVID and lockdown and wasn't able to get to America. And they had an Shred hat on and ran into me, and basically they were looking incredible. They've lost so much weight since I've seen them. But that's not an unnormal thing. Like, I've been in Isagenix for 9 years. I've seen a lot of people lose a lot of weight, right? The products are incredible. But they kept so passionately talking about this Shred. And when I confessed to them, I've got absolutely no idea what you're talking about, they were like truly shocked. And so anyway, because we were running back into the convention, I was like, send me information on it. I'll look into it because I'm very passionate about health and wellness anyway. So it was very confusing as they were trying to explain it to me. But I said, just send me the information. I'm always trying to learn, just like Jesse was mentioning. Anyway, as we know, like with subconscious mind, for the rest of the day, all I was seeing was Shred now. I would see it on a shirt somewhere. I would see it on a hat. And it was just because they mentioned it, it came up in my awareness. And they never sent me the information. And so later that night, I went straight to my hotel room and just jumped on YouTube and typed Shred and found a bunch of these videos and watched one. And then I was hooked. I was like going down the rabbit hole, and I missed the top 100 dinner because I was on my hotel bed, like binge watching all these YouTube videos. And I was just getting super intrigued. I was very skeptical, but that was what made me curious, if that makes any sense. Like, because I didn't really agree with it, that made me curious even more. And I was watching a video with Sean, and he mentioned that he had to stop using the shakes. And I never told anyone this. I didn't really, who would I tell? But I had stopped using the shakes about 2 to 3 years ago. I wrote that word down, Sean, dormant. I'd become a bit dormant with Isagenix as well. There was no one thing, it was an accumulation of things, but one of them that wasn't helping was I couldn't even take my own products, well, especially the shakes. And that obviously wasn't how I started with Isagenix. Isagenix changed my life, and I fell so in love with the products that I tried to tell the whole of Australia about it, and somewhat did. But eventually, after 6-7 years, I was eventually, if this was my shape, I wouldn't even be done with it, and I'd start to fart, and I'd start to get this noticeably bloating. And it was so normal that me and my wife would just assume it was just because I'm a big human that eats a lot of protein and goes to the gym. Like, it wasn't, we just thought, yeah, that's what normal people do. And but I was getting a bit of pain with the shake, so I just had to stop because it wasn't really worth it. And so when Sean shared that in this video that I was watching, that's when I was like, I need to try this for myself. And it got to a point where I was actually a bit frustrated that I was still in America for another week. I wanted to like get home and get started. And so as soon as I got home, it was day one, I started. It was very confronting. I'd done a lot of nutrition certs, like Jesse had mentioned, and we always get taught about vegetables. And that was the biggest confrontation for me. Like, I'm not eating vegetables, like, couldn't comprehend, but I like to think I have an open mind. I think everyone in Isagenix has an open mind, because you have to overcome that network marketing, and you have to overcome cleansing and all that kind of stuff. And so, long story short, it changed. I mean, it sounds dramatic to change my life, but there's a reason why their hashtag is like "Come Alive." I think that's your or is that your, yeah, probably one of the mission statements. But like, I truly came alive that first week. I went from not exaggerating, farting like 20 times a day to 0. I went from like 100 to 0 real quick. I went from, I hadn't had a shake in years, or I was at that point where I was having one shake maybe every 6 months because there was nothing in the cupboard. I'm like, oh, let me have a shake. Wasn't really enjoyable, but I was like, oh, this is better than Uber Eats. I went from having 0 shakes to 2 shakes a day, back like loving life. Satiated as a mofo, like when I was eating what I was taught, like if I was doing the normal isogenic system, I would have to have 3 meals and 2 shakes. Like the shakes would have to become my snacks. If I tried to have 2 shakes in a meal, I was like, had no energy. I was so hungry, my stomach would rumble, like that just wasn't enough food. Whereas like yesterday I had 2 shakes and 1 meal and I was full as a bull. Like it was just eating so much more fat. I felt so much more satiated. I hadn't done cleanse days, a double cleanse in years as well, because I was just so damn hard. And again, I'm a big human, and that was just too long for me to go without food. Because I was feeling alive with the ER Shred, I wanted to do it properly. I wanted to put it to the test, and did a double cleanse day my first week and my second week, and they were like the easiest things I've ever done in my life. Like I'm on a cleanse day again today and gonna cleanse tomorrow, and it was just so easy. What else can I share? Fat loss. I mean, I think it was like nearly 10 kilos in like a couple of weeks. Again, I'm a big human. I was coming back from America where your food quality isn't that great. So, but it was also the weight loss was like bottom of the hierarchy of like importance. But what I was basically learning was I was having a lot of gut issues that I didn't know I had, because I just, when you're tired and lethargic and bloated and you're that for so long, right, you just think it's kind of normal. Another benefit that I forgot to share on our call last time, Shaw, was I honestly feel like I have an extra 2 hours a day, and I'm not exaggerating. Like I truly feel like I have an extra 2 hours a day, because when it's dinner time, I just go and grab a steak and I cook a steak and I'm done. And I'm not meal prepping. I'm not grocery shopping. I'm not messing around with recipes. I'm not cooking something here and I've got potatoes over here and I've got something in the air fryer and I've got something else and I've got the rice cooker going. I'm like trying to juggle 5, 6, 7 different things. And when I'm doing that for 3 separate meals, like it's crazy to sound, it adds up to a lot of time. A lot of time planning, a lot of time cooking, a lot of time cleaning up. And with kind of going down the ER Shred route, it just simplified so many things, where I honestly feel like I have an extra 2 hours. So I started feeling incredible, but then I'm like, man, is this just me? Is this just in my head? Is this just because I'm back from America and I like had too much fun, like, you know, trying to be devil's advocate? And so I started to reach out to a few people in my team and not in my team that I like have a really great relationship with, where I could just be honest and tell them, I need you to be my guinea pig. Like I've only been doing this for 2 weeks. I could feel like shit in another 2 weeks. Like, you know, being very open as I try to always be. I'm like, but I need you to do this. I need you to tell me if you hate it. I need you to tell me if, what the hell are you talking about, Jackson? This sucks. Or like, I need feedback from people I know, and people that would tell me this sucks or this, whatever it is. And so Jackie, who's on the call, like won IsoBody using Isogenic. So she already had incredible results, reached out to Sharon. I was working with Sharon, and Sharon was like one of those people where I didn't know what to tell her, because she was doing everything you're supposed to do and then some, and was not getting any results. And it wasn't like she was doing shortcuts. She wasn't not doing what we're taught to do. We were going advanced with Isogenics. Like we were doing macros, we were doing everything, and she was not budging. So I started to reach out to these people and I had a 100% hit rate. It was just like 100% anyone that I shared this way of life with, or this way to use the Isagenix products, it was raving reviews back. And everyone has been the same. I came back from Orlando to do it for 11 days and I've been doing it for 2 months now. And it's the same with everyone that I shared. I pitched it like, be my guinea pig for 11 days. Like, just give me that, like calling in a favor. And no one's gone back. Everyone's continued because they felt amazing and they've had their benefits. So that's kind of my story with this ER Shred. And it's, you know, if you're on this call, you're watching this recording, it's just all about just do it for 11 days and have that mindset to be your own guinea pig and put it to the test for yourself. There's just so much to play with this and the blueprint aspect of it, and it can help you find what's been an issue for you and not. There's just so many amazing things about it, but that's kind of my little story with how I found it and how it kind of helped me come back alive with Isagenix. I was, so 2 days ago, I enrolled a leader that left Isagenix a long time ago and came back, and I led with the ER Shred side of things. And I noticed that your Isagenix is incredible, but I noticed I was starting, and there's lots of things, right? There's no one thing, but I noticed I was starting to sign people up and hope that it would work for them. And that's not how I first started with Isagenix. There was no hope. There was like, I could just promise them like, this will change your life. And I started to drift into the hope camp of, man, I hope this works for them. Because, but anyway, I signed her up 2 days ago with the ER Shred pack, and I wasn't hoping. Like, I was back to, man, I know, like, their box has got lost, so I'm like just pissed off and frustrated because I'm not hoping that it works for them. I'm like, I know. So anyway, that's my story. I don't know if you want me to share anything else, Sean, or anyone.
Yeah, no,
but,
around that point, you're talking about certainty. That's the word that
Yeah.
comes to my mind. And I really appreciate that. So, you know, for those individuals, hopefully, if you guys don't know what ER Shred is, it's just elimination, reset, and it's about eating the right things. It's about, you know, identifying what isn't working for you, implementing what will work for you, and then building upon that. But beyond that, Jackson, that certainty, maybe just speak to what's available to people. If they get a result and they come alive and they have that passion, what is it that's available to them?
Yeah, so man, this vehicle of network marketing paired with our specific like Isagenix compensation plan, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, Sean, you shared it at the start with like how you built your business and Isagenix. How I built mine was I fell so in love with the products and how I felt that I was telling everyone, you need to get on this. And I would have told my mom and my girlfriend at the time and my basketball teammates and everything like that. I would have told them, man, you need to get on Isagenix, even if there was no money to be made or there was no compensation plan. I just knew and believed that much that this will help you feel the best you've ever felt if you get on these products. And so the ER Shred side of things, I think the certainty comes from another level where I find this much easier. It's much easier for people to stick to because helping people for 9 years in Isagenix and enrolling coaching thousands of people, it's very rarely that the Isagenix products don't work. Usually the problem is they couldn't stick to it because they're too hungry or they're too confused or their cravings are too big or whatever it is. And I've just found coaching the guinea pigs that I told them they were guinea pigs, so I'm not calling them names, but coaching the guinea pigs on it, it was so simple and easy that consistency is the name of the game in anything in life. And it's just so very, very foolproof to stay consistent with this because you feel so much more satiated. There's less decisions to be made, so you're not going to get decision fatigue. And I mean, we didn't even talk, but the ER Shred, like Facebook page and community, it's very hard to not feel inspired or very hard to not want to be a part of it when every day there's so many posts of they're feeling this and here's a meme about that and everything like that. And so, yeah, it's incredible when you have the certainty of what Isagenix and using it this way can do for you. You can grow an incredible business because this business is all built around the concept of do people know, like, and trust you? If they do, they will buy from you. And people know, like, and trust people that have certainty. If you like do any research around leadership and what people look for in terms of leadership, it's not like the big powerful person. It's like consistency, who has certainty, who has empathy, these kind of things. And yeah, that's what comes to mind with ER Shred.
Awesome. Awesome. So thank you so much, Jackson. Jennifer, James, do you guys want to close this thing out?
Sure, bro.
And maybe you could just share, you guys could share your thoughts around what Jackson said and close us out just so we don't take any more time.
So we totally agree with Jackson. This is definitely such an easier concept to follow. You don't get hungry. You're not craving food. It's simpler. You're not wasting, like someone put in the thread, that you're not wasting money. You're throwing out food. It's just so easy, and you do feel full. You're not craving. It's just been amazing. And the word "come alive" is literally what I felt. Come alive.
And I'll just share with you something real quick. Jennifer had been talking with a young lady about her problems of weight gain, etc. And so Jennifer just took it upon herself to share with her about the ER Shred, and they were going back and forth. And she sent Jennifer an email message. And I have to admit, when I read the message that she sent, I mean, she said that she was just so excited. She actually had come alive and she hadn't even started the shred, but she said that she just couldn't go to sleep at night. And she looked at her husband and said, look, I want to, get these products. And he said, honey, go for it. So she just really excited because, again, I think what Jackson, alluded to, this is something that she felt like it's going to be so much easier for her because she's tried so many other things, like just counting the calories, etc. So again, this has been such a wonderful call, and I have to admit, sometimes I get a little bit uneasy when calls go for a long time, but I think this one has been so interesting, so much valuable information. I think we could probably all sit here for another hour and get all of this good, valuable, free information. So again, thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Sean.
Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
And
thank you, Jackson. And thank you, everyone, for jumping on the call. And let's get the word out about the ER Shred.
In Australia and New Zealand.
Yes. 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 In fact, I actually got a message from CEO of Isagenix, Sharon Walsh, and she said, wow, ER Shred is taking off in Australia. So whatever you guys are doing over there, good work, and keep on reaching out because there's a lot of people that need our help.
That's for sure.
What's the highest vibrational energy on the earth? Gratitude. And when you feel the gratitude of people you share with, that right there is the reward. And I got to tell you, when you feel that, you can't get enough of it because it raises your vibrational energy to the point where you go, who else can I help? Who else can I impact? Because that feels good. So thanks to all of you. Really appreciate you guys. And we'll see you guys in the ER Shred group.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Bye. Good day.
Thank you.
Night, everybody. Thanks so much.
Bye. Thank you again.